Hello, fellow teachers. This has been a summer like none other. COVID-19 has disrupted our usual summer freedom. It's changed the way we travel and the way we get together. For some, I'm sure it feels like there was no time to really unwind because of the uncertainties of returning to work in the fall. And some of you even had to work this summer in vocational centers, adult centers, and summer school. I know as a high school teacher, August is the time when we really start planning our school year. However, this August has been highly unusual. I know many of you are worried about what to expect, have been on high alert, are following closely the school reopening plans across the country, and are wondering if it will be safe to return to the classroom. When consulted on the reopening scenario last June, QPAT has strongly recommended smaller classes in order to have proper physical distancing in the classroom. We also recommended a 50% return in high schools in order to help reduce class sizes and have more time with each student. We argued that such a scenario would be safer for students and teachers and more pedagogically sound in the context of the pandemic. As you know, on August the 10th, the Minister of Education announced some adjustments to the June school reopening plan and decided to move forward with a full return of all students in the fall. A week later, Minister Roberge announced additional monies for direct services to students in the youth sector. The announcement of mandatory masks for grade 5 and up sounded promising. The bubble of 6 students, which would have been difficult to manage, are gone, and now the entire classroom has become the bubble. Social distancing inside the classroom is no longer required, and neither are masks. The Canadian Federal Public Agency released a COVID-19 guide for reopening schools, and they suggest that a high-density, confined indoor settings are associated with a higher risk of transmission. So I can understand why teachers have concerns. An additional $20 million was announced for direct student support. This only amounts to about $6,000 per school. That's not much student support. No monies were announced for COVID-19 expenses or for mental health. Since August the 4th, I've done over 25 interviews, spoken to the Ministry of Education, contacted the Parent Association and our partners in education, always with the same message. There needs to be a safe return in order to prevent the reclosure of schools. Things like proper ventilation, smaller class sizes, mandatory masks when there isn't social distancing, and clear rules for exemptions have been at the top of our discussions. Last week, in collaboration with the FSE and the CSQ, our partners, QPAT submitted questions directly to Dr. Arruda on the school reopening plan and how the plan will actually apply on the ground. And we are still waiting for his answers. QPAT and other unions across Canada have also been exploring legal avenues in order to protect teachers. I've had the opportunity to speak to union leaders across the country, and the frustrations are very similar. Health authorities are putting in guidelines without considering the reality of the classroom. And unions have been fighting for the health and safety of their members. It's been extremely difficult to get our voices heard, and unions are being seen by the government as difficult and inflexible. I want to assure that your local union presidents have been working closely with QPAT in order to ensure that your school board implements appropriate measures for its employees and students in the coming days and weeks. They have been asking the difficult questions and doing their best to make sure that safety is the priority. In the coming days and weeks, QPAT and your local unions will need your valuable input to help bring the concerns to the authorities. I want you to know that we're working for you, and we will continue working on your behalf, doing everything in our power to ensure that the conditions in which schools reopen will be the safest possible for you and your students.